Hello and welcome to another episode of Keep It Fictional with the Port Moody Public Library. Today I am joined by Corinne and our special return guest, Liz. It's been a while, Liz. Hope you are doing good. Reading lots. Yeah, it's all good. All right. Well, after like 200, I don't even know however many episodes that we have done, I feel like we are going to have to stretch a little bit in our topics. We're just like finding random things to talk about, I feel like a little bit. So today is one of those random kind of topic. Is that we all have to read a book with a title, with a, no, sorry, with an object in the title. Yes, just very arbitrary, very random, just something that might unite kind of books together. So that is our theme for today. And so I'm going to start with like a couple of questions here and there about objects in general. So I'm going to start with the one that I feel like all three of us are kind of passionate about, stationery. Right. Okay. So I feel like, all three of us quite like our stationery. So I would love to know think of your house right now or like your usual buying habits. What is the one stationery item that you buy the most of? And you have the most around in the house, I guess.
This is extremely easy. Pens. I have an embarrassment of pens to the point where I kind of like have stashes like Ferrero Rocher boxes full of different kinds of pens that are stashed in various points of my room so that when you come in, you don't necessarily know exactly how many pens I have because it's become an embarrassment of pens. But I've got a lot.
Say kind of more picture your room would be like a pickup stick of pens kind of idea. Like that's what I was picturing. But very
It looks
organized,
like a
apparently.
stationery store. It's like a beautiful stationery store. You know how Barbara Streisand has like a mall in her basement, and so whenever she feels like sad or down, she just goes down to her basement and does like a little shop. That's essentially what my room is that it's set up like a stationery store with every pen, every mechanical pencil, every notebook you could ever dream of. Sometimes they're in little drawers that you pull out and you can like run your fingers through them. I have multiple like pencil sharpeners, like anything you can dream of, it's there.
And it's a shop entirely for you and no one else. For only you to shop, obviously. Yeah. Liz, what do you have the most of?
Definitely pens. Yeah, same as Corinne. They're like in little, repurposed tins that I thought were nice. And what are they going to be used for now? Pens. It's like the old butter cookie tins with the sewing kits. We've got little cookie tins with pens and not so much pencils. I also have a bit of a ridiculous amount of washi tape. I've got them on those spindles that you mount onto a pegboard, and I've got three going right now, and I have no more room. So I think I either need to cut back or get another spindle, which is probably what's gonna happen. Let's be realistic here. How about you, Virginia?
It's probably notebooks. Buy a lot of notebooks that I never use. I just keep buying them and just keep accumulating them. I keep trying to be like, you have like whatever, just use them first. But there's something you just can't use. It's just supposed to just sit there. So yeah, so I would say probably notebooks would be my thing. I think because I'm picky about pens, I don't trust them. It's like apples. I don't trust them. Like there's like a one or two that I really, really like, and then those would be the ones that I would just keep going to buy. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of pens that I don't like how they write, so I'm picky. So I have to like, maybe that's the thing, like I have to buy more so you can find, yeah, okay, yeah, that's the other philosophy. But like, I'm like, once I find one that I like, I'm just like, okay, this is the one that I'm gonna keep buying because I know that I will like it and won't get annoyed about it when I write with it. So I don't know.
But what if there's a better one out there? What if, Virginia?
Well, I mean, only Corinne would know because she has the store of pens, so she could probably give us some good recommendation. That's the podcast that we need to start. Forget about this book thing. Why would, yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk for like approximately 2 hours about the Pilot Juice Up line in various colors with the very satisfying. Yeah, we should jump on this. This is a niche that needs to be filled.
I'm assuming there's some out there, probably. But I guess how do you talk like on a podcast? How do you talk about? I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, kind of need to be seen.
You could talk about like the smoothness, the ink consistency, the hand feel, the longevity of the pen, because I have some thoughts about Uniball. I had to buy like replacement inks for them for my little. Like, I think that there is definitely a vocabulary out there that we would just either need to immerse ourselves in or develop to talk about our pens in the passionate way that they deserve.
Or you can just listen to a scribble on a piece of paper and make your own judgments about how smooth the writing is, like very ASMR, maybe. Don't steal our idea. We'll work on it.
Well, then we'll just like get rid of everything, all the topping in the spreadsheet next, like in the next few weeks. We'll just concentrate on pens. And Sadie's probably like, what are we doing? Yeah. I don't know how Sadie a stationary fan? I don't hear her talk about it as much. But she does have cute things.
Maybe it's like a secret passion, a passion that she keeps in her heart, like the forbidden passion that dare not speak its name.
All right. Okay. Well, that's stay tuned for next week's episode where we're gonna review more, I don't know, pens or whatever that we're gonna start with. But this week I guess we'll go back to our books, with objects that may or may not be your favorite in the title. So Liz, what have you got for us?
All right. Well, thanks for having me back on the podcast. I'm going to shift gears a little bit from being a bit lighthearted to something maybe a bit more introspective, a bit historical, even. Now, growing up in Edmonton, Alberta in the 70s and 80s, Bonnie had what most outside observers would call a comfortable childhood. Her family was financially stable and owned not one, but two restaurants. She even wasn't pressured to perform well in school, as her parents, in particular her father, emphasized her happiness over stressing about grades. Now, back in 1930s Pabianice, Poland, Saul was born. Part of an Orthodox Jewish family, they were evicted from their home and into a ghetto in 1940. In 1944, Saul, his mother, and 5 sisters were deported to Auschwitz-Birkenau. Bonnie, at age 5, noticed some blue-green numbers on her father's arm. When she asked him what they were, he said that some bad men were responsible for them. She tried to wipe them off with her fingers, but they wouldn't budge. When she asked where the bad men were now, Saul said, "Don't worry, the bad men ran away." Now back to Saul's youth. During a death march, he hid in a barn with a cousin overnight. In the morning, they found not German, but American troops waiting for them. According to Saul, they were free, but left to fend for themselves. So they knocked on doors until someone offered them a single egg. Quote, "1 egg for 2 people," I said. "How do we share that?" Meanwhile, back in Bonnie's world, she grew up filled with anxiety. Even though her father softened his wording when sharing his own horrific childhood memories, Bonnie couldn't help but wonder whether she could survive like her father did. She once ate dog kibble in an attempt to imagine how good her father must have felt it tasted while he was around the same age, starving in the ghetto. Bonny often felt an acute sadness, despite her father always making sure his family never went without and him making their happiness a priority. As a war orphan, Saul was sponsored to move to Canada in 1947. He settled in Edmonton, getting a job at Teddy's restaurant, which he would one day purchase. Saul is now 95 and one of the friendliest, most joyful people you will ever meet. As an adult, Bonny realized that food, and sometimes a lack of it, was a prevalent part of her family's history and life. At age 40, she felt compelled to quit her job to train to become a chef, although she never wanted to work in a restaurant after graduation. Through food, Bonny found a means to work through her complicated feelings and deepen her bond with her father, Saul, a Holocaust survivor. Now, this book that I'm sharing with you today is called How to Share an Egg, a true story of hunger, love, and plenty, written by Bonny Reichert. She is a debut memoirist, but she is a prolific author, journalist, as well as chef. If you are listening to this book on audiobook one day, she acts as the narrator as well. Now, as an adult, Bonny accompanied her elderly father, Saul, to his homeland of Poland. And during that trip, Bonny's family found themselves in a very bland-looking, questionable restaurant. Nobody else was in there, which is usually a bad sign. So she didn't expect much from the food at all. However, when they brought out this steaming, beautiful bowl of borscht, clear and fragrant, a simple dish that was so stunning that it just was like a reckoning for her. It reminded her that there is light that can come out of dark, and that memories and the joy of food can endure and take us out of the present and into a completely different place and time. I love a great biography and memoir. I loved how this not only included Bonny's story, but her father's story, a bit of world history, but was also rooted in her childhood in Canada. Read this also if you love books about food and its power to transcend time and stir up memories and feelings many years later. I love a good food write-up. Also, I feel like this book really hits a lot of diverse points for people who may be seeking out different things. If you are interested in reading about intergenerational trauma, how it can come down through the generations, shaping our childhoods and who we become as adults, and how we can also grow beyond it and learn from it and try to help others avoid mistakes of the past. For example, if you enjoyed What My Bones Know, a memoir of healing from complex trauma, if you enjoyed What My Bones Know, a memoir of healing from complex trauma by Stephanie Fu. And also, I believe it's called The Body Remembers. You would probably enjoy this one. I will give this caveat. You may be disappointed if you do wish to have a deeper dive into Saul's life. Originally, Saul had asked Bonny for years, who was always scribbling in notebooks, when are you going to write my story? Let's sit down and talk. You can write my story for me. You're a writer. And because of her trauma, it was so difficult for Bonny to put that pen to paper and ask her father to tell her about all of the difficult trauma that he himself had experienced firsthand. So because of this trip to Poland, because of this memory that she was able to share with her father over this bowl of borscht in this nondescript restaurant, that helped to open the door and be the catalyst for her to document and let Saul's perseverance live on paper. So if you're looking for something that's more of a historical look, a deeper dive, something that's more academic and less sort of artistically embellished. For example, in one scene, Saul performed child labor, having to empty down from the bedding that was stolen by the Nazis from families. And in the book, he finds a ring, which he secretly tucks away and gives to his mother so that she can pawn it off for contraband food. Apparently, this didn't actually happen, but was written in to provide narrative color. So if embellishments like that and sort of interpretations are bothersome for you, and you want a more historically accurate picture, then you may want to shy away from this one. Um, and despite the prevalence of food in it, it is not a food book to the point where you are experiencing all the tastes and all the dishes very heavily with Bonnie throughout the journey that she takes you on. While it was interesting to hear about the descriptions of the food that her and her family enjoyed throughout the years, I was left hungry for more, pun intended. I wanted more descriptions, I wanted more detail. So while I really did enjoy this book, I will say that it did try and be a lot of things. And if you're okay with that, about not doing a deeper dive into any of these particular aspects, that's great. I do still feel like it has a lot of value in terms of bringing to light a period of history and how that influences later generations. Um, so you may want to give this a try. I did enjoy the audiobook because it was narrated by Bonny Reichert. So I always feel like, particularly with family stories, um, their narration and how like, emotion is conveyed through her voice in terms of how these events affected her in particular. So that is How to Share an Egg by Bonny Reichert.
Thank you, Liz. I feel like that's, even though you said that it may not have like completely satisfied all those like Liz's needs from a book, I feel like it really does fit. It's a fairy Liz book. I'm like, oh, this is bringing like a fairy Liz book. It's bringing all the Liz stuff back into the podcast. So thank you for doing that. All right. Before I go on with my book, another object related question. I don't give this one. I'm trying to think like, is there how many of these objects are there? But like, what is your favorite book related object? I don't know if there's enough of that, but I was like, since it's a book podcast, maybe we'll talk books. Like for me, it's a bookshelf because it's asking to be filled, which give me an excuse to buy things, buy more books to fill it. What is your book related object?
For me, it's bookmarks. I have so many. They're like a novelty item. It's like stickers. Um, but they never get unsticky. They will always have a use. They never deteriorate. They never expire. They are just there. They're like little tiny works of art that you can choose to use at any given time. Um, there's always more out there. There's so many different kinds. There's wooden ones, paper ones, metal ones. They have dangly things. They're cross-stitched. Like the possibilities are endless. So, too many of those.
It's funny. I know what Korean is going to say, I think. And I remember seeing a t-shirt that say bookmarks are for quitters. And that's very much a Korean thing because Korean does not need bookmarks. She has absolutely no use for bookmarks.
And yet I do have a lot of them. People tend to give me them because they're like, oh, you love books, you love reading. And so here's the bookmark. And I'm like, right, it will go into my little box of bookmarks that I don't use because if I'm either reading it or I'm not. And there's no use for that. This is a really tricky one, honestly. I'm gonna kind of cheat in that I think Midori makes some of these as well, but there's like it's a little like pen holder inside, like a little pen holster, and then it has like a little elastic around it. So you put it around your book. And so if you need to like take notes when you're reading, or if you need, I don't do this, but I would love to imagine that I am the kind of person who highlights in books, but I don't. I absolutely don't. And I have never, and I never will. I just can't. I just can't. But if I did, and I'd like to imagine that I'm the sort of person who does, then I would have it very handily on the book itself. So it just means that I always have my book and my pens like handy. And again, I'm absolutely lying because I just use this to hold my pens and it's never around a book. But does it count? I feel like it counts.
Those people who do that are monsters, so you would never want to do you would never want to do that. So
I mean, I think it's because we're library people, and so the idea of like marking up a library book is so like the blood in my veins runs cold. But I feel like there are people who do it. I see it like on Instagram all the time that it's like very much like a trend to mark up your books. The ones and again, it's like when you're not in something, you don't understand it that well. But like the romance ones, I'm like, what? And it's like every other line is highlighted and squiggled and underlined, and I'm like, huh. But I mean, I do love like medieval marginalia. So maybe this is just like the monks in conversation with the text of our generation.
I guess. I mean, that's what like those little post-its are for. That's the other thing I have lots of is those little post-it things because that's I'd rather do that, like than having to anyway. I don't know. That's yeah, no, just no. All right. Well, thank you for that. And with that, I will go into my book. And full disclosure, I am not super prepared for this today, so don't even have notes today. So get ready for this completely random. I know it's been a week. All right. So my book is called The Place of Shells and is by Mai Ishizawa. And I kind of saved this to read for this episode because this book is translated by one of Liz's favorite translators. I don't know if it's the favorite, but definitely one of her favorite, which is a Polly Barton. And so that's the reason why I'm like, okay, gotta save this for this episode. So the book got on my radar because it's published by New Directions, and I try my best to read everything that they publish because they are the best. It's also a recent Akutagawa Prize winner, and as you all know, I've been working through those, and I'm really excited that more recent winners have been being translated. Should be a new one coming out in September called Sympathy Tower Tokyo, which I'm sure one of us will talk about. It's a 2024 winner, so it's really exciting to see newer ones getting translated. And after, like when I was reading, us like there's a few different quotes in here that I'm like, okay, this is like perfect for this object episode because of how it treats objects in this book and the significance of objects in general in this book to the theme. So I felt like this is like kind of perfect for that. So this is Maya Ishizawa is a Japanese author who lives in Germany. And so the book is set in Göttingen, sorry for my German, in Germany. And so the story begins with our unnamed narrator, who is that's the other theme that we need to do, unnamed narrator, because I feel like every other book that I read does not have a name. And I always kind of feel like, is it just me who forgot the name of the character, or is it just this? And I always have to look it up, and good that like nowadays you can look it up and no, they are unnamed, so it's not just me missing it. But anyway, so our unnamed narrator is taking a dog named Hector to the train station to meet someone. Hector is a special truffle hunting dog. They have discovered his ability to do so, and he just uncovered all the black truffles in the forest. So as you can imagine, a pretty important little pet. But Hector is not our narrator. She's just doing some dog sitting. But today they're going to the train station to meet Nomiya, someone that they knew from before. And as they are approaching the train station, they are watching for Nomiya to come out. And finally, she spotted him. And as they are walking towards each other, even though they're getting closer and closer, you could feel the distance between the two of them. And that distance does not diminish as they meet, as they start talking and just asking how each other is doing, going through the very set phrases, lines that are very awkward and kind of like, prepared. while our narrator is wondering what to say next because she doesn't really know how to talk to Nomiya, we're not really sure what the relationship between the two are, but there's something going on that is keeping them apart in some ways. Even as they are walking towards the bus stop so that Nomiya can get on the bus to go to his new apartment, just things seems still very distant. It might be because the two of them haven't seen each other for 9 years. 9 very long years. But not just that. It's also because Nomiya has been presumed dead for the last 9 years. Nomiya's family was in Sendai, Japan when the 2011 earthquake and tsunami hit. The few months after the earthquake and tsunami, bodies started washing up, and Nomiya's family, one by one, appeared. But not Nomiya. They have never found his body. Even though they talk about him as if he's still alive, deep down, everybody know that he is likely has also lost his life during this disaster. But here he is, Nomiya has reappeared and somehow has chosen to come to Göttingen to tr- settled, to visit. Not quite sure what he's doing there and why he picked this place. And so, as our narrator watches Nomiya get on the bus, things start to surface for her. Things that she forgotten, things that she has buried deep down, things that she didn't know it was still part of her. She thought that she has accumulated enough objects around her to help her build a new identity, but she could just feel the past just sneaking up and surfacing and reaching out and making her pay attention to them. This is a book about the distance that and it was interesting that Liz talked about sort of perhaps more in a history like a historical period and individual kind of trauma. This one is kind of a national trauma that has affected so many people, including our narrator, who thought that it is like she has always had this distance from it, that she feels that she's has not really process it, and now Nomiya's presence is forcing her to to face this the stuff that is being hidden underneath her. And what is interesting is that this story is also set kind of right after the pandemic, when things started to open up, when countries started opening up their borders again. And so it's a time when we are much more aware of people's proximity and the idea of distancing. And so it really like it's a time that is set the story is really amplified those themes of the story about how we try to stay apart from people, try to stay apart from the memories that we have, especially those painful, traumatic memories that we don't want to face. It's about sort of that distance. And it's interesting also because in the book, Hector was originally a truffle hunting dog. So that's what he uncovers. But he started to uncover different things in the city. And these are all objects that it seems like they've been thrown away, but they were things like a toy arrow, keys, empty perfume bottle, an artificial rose, a lemon yellow cloak, and many more objects that are just sort of scattered around. And so Hector is uncovering all of these, and all of these objects are tied to a person at some point, but now they're kind of just there. They have been not necessarily discarded, but they are just like without any connection. And so the book is also a lot about kind of how to recreate those connection with between the objects themselves and the people that live there, who may find these objects perhaps too painful to keep anymore. And at some point later on, there is like parts of the story about how different people will try to seek if they can come back to these objects and bring them home again. I also really, really love the way Ishizawa
describe things. Like it's one of those books where, again, like many of my books, it's like, okay, well, is it real? Is it not real? You don't really quite know who is Nomiya, because everybody thought he's dead. Like, is he actually alive? Is he a ghost? Like a lot of the description keep talking about that ghost part. But there's also other people that you're like, are you actually real or are you not real? So there's a lot of that involved. So, and it doesn't give you any answers. So, like if you're the type of readers who need answers, then this may not be the book for you. But I love, love, love the way Ishikawa talks about the memories, like how she described them. And when she was describing Nomiya, for example, she talks about it's like as if he has a jet lag face, like his face hasn't caught up to the time now. And it's just this like severance that she talks about, that there's like a temporal distancing. It's not just a physical distance between people, but there's also temporal distance that somehow our narrator just can't bridge and can't really figure out how to bridge it. And I just love the way she described so many things in this book. And I'm sure partly it's also due to Polly Barton's like really expert translation and trying to make this kind of like this idea, and just keeping that language, the idea of the trauma and the memories that you have and the objects and what they do to you. So if you are a lover of, I think, literary fiction, if you love a book that, just you can just immerse yourself in the language, if you love surrealism, I think this will be a really, really good pick for you. So I hope you will check it out. This is The Place of Shells by Mai Ishizawa. All right. So, question number 3 before we go into our Korean's book is if you were a kitchen appliance. I just broke my pen. Right. Just a cap. I do that all the time. I just play with the cap. Anyway, if you were a kitchen appliance, what would you be? Something that you found in your kitchen. I don't have an answer for this, so either.
Really making me like think about like, because is this about me? Is this about the kitchen appliance? Like I do have my favorite kitchen appliance, like I have my favorite kitchen tool, but I don't think I'm really like a lemon squeezer. I don't think that's who I am as a person.
You don't
um
identify with it?
no, like it's single purpose and mostly sits in the drawer. Well, maybe I am. It mostly sits in the drawer until I really need it. I'm gonna go with maybe a stand mixer. Yeah, I think maybe a stand mixer.
Now rationalize it.
Yeah, here we
Why?
go. A stand mixer is multi-purpose. It can do a lot of things, but it's always up to the task that's in front of it. So that's what I'm going to say.
All right. And we throw things at you and you just mix it up into some beautiful whatever it is, right? Okay. All right, Liz.
I'm probably gonna say coffee machine, coffee maker. Why? What do we mean no? You're just saying no in the background.
Because I was going to pick that.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like as you're drinking your coffee right now. Yeah, because then you get coffee every day. You get the aroma, you get the taste, you bring people joy.
So you have a much more like better like reasoning for that. Because I was just going to say I'm like a coffee machine because I wake people up. I'm like the person who's already like wide awake by the time other people wake up. So I'm there to wake them up and they're just like, go away. But I'm there to wake them up. So that was my reasoning for a coffee machine. But yours is much better. All right. Any other object question that you want to throw at each other before we do Corinne's book?
I guess I've answered this, but like, what is your favorite kitchen object, tool, or gadget? Mine is my lemon squeezer. That thing changed my life. I was doing it by hand, like a fool, like squeezing my little fingers, trying to get the last drop of the lemon or lime. And I was like, wait, I was in Safeway and I was like, wait, there's a tool for this that just like squeezes the lemons for you. It's like one of like a little clamp one, and it just kind of, and then you turn around and you just turn to the side and and then I don't have to get my fingers because I hate sticky fingers. And so this was like revolutionary for me.
I don't know what question you have, Liz, because you look confused. But I have also have a question. You go first.
Yeah, I'm just curious how many on average per week? How many lemons and limes do you squeeze? But this is such an inconvenience.
Oh, at a certain point in my life, it was like 3 lemons a week, 4 lemons a week, almost with every meal. And it was too much for me. It was too much.
What are you eating that you need so much lemon juice?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I do. It's like when I asked Liz yesterday when everybody's carrying out like 60 eggs.
This might
What
be another
do
episode,
you do with all the eggs?
another
Well, and also,
offshoot
like, why do you
podcast.
have such a big house that you could have 18 flats of eggs? Like, I can't even, I don't know where to put them, even if I could eat them, but what do you do with it?
It's a great question because I had to carry home a box of eggs on the SkyTrain, and I don't even eat eggs. I think they're nasty and they smell like eggs. Like I can smell the chicken on them. And I was just like, this is the worst day of my life. And I'm looking at my room. One of them bought like a skelter. I don't know if it almost looks like a like amusement park slide, like a twirly slide that you put the eggs on. And that's how you store them. And then when you take one egg out, all the rest of them go like
So it's like one of those machines just for watching. And then it goes to the end, it just breaks, and you're like, oh, let me put another one in, and then you go like, is it just for entertainment? Like how many? I don't know, how many eggs do you eat anyway? I don't know. Okay, all right, okay. So that's another podcast. Liz, what is your favorite? I guess kitchen. Are we talking about kitchen appliance or just like the like very specialized like tool?
Oh, if it's well, this isn't really specialized, but I would say the kitchen knife. We have this amazing set that when we went to Japan, we went to this famous knife maker shop and selected the knives we wanted, and then they like in front of you, they'll sharpen each knife on the whetstone, and then it's very performative after they will, take that piece of paper and it just splits right apart as soon as it touches the edge of the blade. Game changer, just makes everything so easy. Like I need to cut a melon in half, no problem. I've got my big knife and just like butter. Um, so easy. Virginia, you look non-convinced.
I'm just scared of knives, so the duller the better. I I use one knife for everything because I can't deal with knives in general. So I'm just like, I'm gonna just use this one knife that I know very well. I know how it cuts, and then I will just use it to cut everything because then I know this is like completely against all the whatever, but I'm just like, but I don't like knives, and I can cut myself on anything. Like as I always tell people, I cut myself on like when I'm washing a pot, like just the rim of the pot. I can cut myself. Like so I I'm not a fan of knives. And sometimes when I see knives just hanging out in the kitchen sink in the staff room, and I'm just like, I'm walking away. Not just
maybe the specialized kitchen implement that you need is like one of those chainmail gloves that you can wear over your hands to not get cut.
maybe I should. Maybe I should. More like a chainmail in general, just protect everything. Yeah. No, I mean like knives are good, I guess. If you would like to cut things, I don't know. If I can avoid a knife, I will avoid a knife. I think that's for me.
No. I remember because I cooked for the house, and I remember the first time like my roommate came around the corner and I was like sawing a tomato, like hurt. And they're like, oh, you can sharpen knives. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean you can sharpen knives? And so we had a man in a van come to the back alley of our neighborhood, and she just handed over all the knives to him, just a man. And then he sharpened all of them and gave them back. And it was the first time in my entire life that I just like I understand what you mean, Liz, is when I put it down on the tomato and I just applied pressure and it just went.
I mean, my knife still cut things. I don't have to saw things. I never have to saw anything. I just know how it cuts and what it can do and what it can cut. So,
For now. For now.
yeah. Well, it's been like quite a while, so I feel like it's my trustworthy knife that I could just cut everything. All right. Okay. Should we go to Corinne's book then after our random tangents?
Yeah. So, according to what I referred to earlier to my book friends as the Colin Firth action star movie, the movie Kingsman, the suit maketh the man. Now, imagine that you are at a dinner party in the Upper East Side of New York. There's cocktails, music, everyone looking fancy and put together. And a very charming, handsome question mark man walks up to you and introduces himself as Chris Rockefeller. As in, yes, those Rockefellers, as in richer than Rockefeller. And he's got the right suit. It's got the right cut. He's got the cufflinks. He's got the right way of talking, the right references. He knows the right people. He's even got the right dog. And he's just got that right name. And he's interested in you. He asks you questions about your life, questions about the art that you're interested in, any book that you read and enjoyed. He's read it too, and he loved it just as much as you loved it. He's smooth and charming and attentive. He's always up to whatever you want to do, and he always has and knows about the latest, most upcoming things. Now, you might be tempted to think that this is a scene out of like American Psycho. However, this is a real life story. The Rockefeller name opens a lot of doors for you. And like, who are you to question it? The clothes just fit right. He has all the right things to say. So you wouldn't like look it up or bother to ask anyone. He goes to the right church, for goodness sakes. He has all the right connections. Now, sorry, I'm going to have to start laughing because this story is ridiculous. And as soon as I start trying to explain it, it's all going to fall apart. My beautiful intro is kind of lost. This is not American Psycho. This is a true crime story because, of course. Now, this charming man with all the perfect clothes and his smooth way of talking is, of course, a con man because, of course, he is. Of course, he is. And this story combines that magic suit with one of my other favorite passions, which is unsolved mysteries. When this anecdote came up in this point of the book, I started screaming. I was so happy. So, who is this man who kind of swans into high society as a Rockefeller with the right suit, who is shedding identities and personalities as he goes? This is Christopher C. Crowe, aka Chris Rockefeller, aka Christopher Mountbatten, aka Chris Chip Smith, aka Christopher Kenneth Gerhardt, aka Christopher Chichester, or as he was legally born, Christopher Gerhardt Reiter. Yeah, you heard that right. This Rockefeller was born in West Germany. And despite the fact that he keeps saying his birthday is February 29th, so it's special and he only gets to celebrate it every 4 years, he was born just a regular old day in February. Now, this Star Trek nerd from West Germany was born to totally normal parents, despite the fact that he claimed his mom was Ann Carter, a child actress from Hollywood, and was a small town weirdo. Yeah, no one liked him, and he spent most of his time at the library. In fact, I feel like libraries are partly to blame for this entire scenario because he learned far too much at his local library, but then used those powers for evil. He loved libraries. He grew up in, same with Virginia, I feel like we have to apologize to every German person today, Siegsdorf in Bavaria. To some very normal parents, Elmore and Jean Kellen. He has a brother. And as he's growing up in this small town, he's like, I'm too big for this. And he meets Elmer and Jean Kellen are two lovely Americans that he meets in his tiny town, and he decides to just kind of like invite himself to the USA by putting their names down on his paperwork and just ambling over to the US. At this point, he starts crisscrossing the United States, going places, trying on a new identity, wearing out his welcome, and then fleeing. He passes himself as, and get yourself ready, a foreign exchange student, just a regular student, an actor, an Alfred Hitchcock TV producer, director, collector, physicist, ship's captain, negotiator of international debt, an English aristocrat, a finance bro, and a professional rich guy. Like you do, somehow managing to gain these skills and accent work to essentially fool everyone. In a way, he is kind of like Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. He knows what are the markers and the signals for different groups that they need. And my goodness, does he love cozying up to rich old ladies. I would argue that that is his specialty. And from that, he gets money. He gets to hang out in their pool houses. Sometimes he rents their pool house and just kind of takes over their lives. No problem. No problem. However, this web of lies and deception eventually ends in kidnapping and murder. The lies eventually do catch up with you, and that kind of greed for a lifestyle that is not yours cannot win out. Author and journalist Mark Seal, who wrote for Vanity Fair as well as others, tries to piece together who is the person at the heart of Chris Rockefeller, or if there even is a heart there at all. He does a fantastic job going in and interviewing the people involved who are willing to talk about this, and many aren't. He talks to his first wife, which was definitely a green card marriage that led to a lot of problems down the line for him. People that met him in passing, people that were taken in by him, and even goes into the trial for his kidnapping charge as well as the murder charge. This is a tough one because as you're reading through the entire thing, you just have that question of like, how? How is anyone taken in by this guy? His lies at a certain point are outrageous. Oh, yeah, the Rockefeller Center, I've got a key for that, because I'm a Rockefeller. No problem. At which point, someone at the party is like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. There's no key to that, and they're not just going to give it to you. But by gum, he's so charming and so fun that you just forget about all of it. So he also ends up getting married to a Harvard-educated BA who is so clever and yet misses all of these signs. He doesn't seem to be making any money, relies entirely on her finances, refuses to do anything with her taxes, and they get married in what can only be described as the weirdest ceremony. At a certain point, instead of getting married at like the big Rockefeller church, they have a Quaker ceremony where no one talks and it is questionably legal. Again, a lot of intelligent people fall for him. And I think it really has to do with just the suit and the confidence. Human beings want to believe other people. And so when someone with the right pair of glasses strides up to you in a well-cut suit, sure, a Rockefeller? Absolutely. That's why you're hanging out just on the street in New York with a dog that isn't yours, telling the strangest stories and the strangest lies. It is a baffling read. And in some ways, like really sad. Some of the people that he talks to, like their lives and trajectory of their lives are absolutely changed by him. And he has little to no remorse for what he did. He was able to kind of snake his way into any social situation that he wanted just through his sheer confidence. They did make a TV movie. Obviously, because this is such a sensational story, there have been many adaptations of it, both documentaries and one film starring Eric McCormack as we'll call him Chris. If I had to cast him, honestly, I'd say he's more of like, if you ever watched the TV series of Teen Wolf, and that's okay, you don't need to admit it to us. That's fine. We've all been there. It's kind of like Tyler Hoechlin, who's currently starring as Superman in like Superman and Lois. Think like square jaw, kind of like eyes, like big eyes, and it's all about the glasses. It's all about the glasses. So that's kind of what I would cast him at right now. At a certain point after this book was published, they were going to be making a movie and or TV series about it. Benedict Cumberbatch was involved in it, but I think that kind of fizzled out. However, I think it is kind of like primed for that. He is currently still in jail serving his term for murder. And so that kind of is the tragedy at that and the kind of weird dichotomy of the American con man. In some ways, they are heroes. If you think about Catch Me If You Can, we're kind of hoping he doesn't get caught because he's got like the confidence and the sheer like American gall to go through and just kind of put himself at ease in any situation. He's charming, he's friendly, he's into you, he asks questions. And then as you slowly uncover more of the story and read more of this book, you realize what a monster you would have to be to take advantage of people's kindness like that. And how easily all those lies are going to build and build on each other and eventually break somewhere. But they eventually usually break someone and not the con man involved. So if you are looking for a really mind spinning story, really well told. I think Mark Seal is a very good investigator and journalist. He does a really good job of not sensationalizing this and being really empathetic towards the victims of it. He makes the point over and over again that these are very intelligent people. And, you know, sometimes just in the face of overwhelming charm and someone who knows how to work people, we're all pretty defenseless against it, whether we think so or not. We're all vulnerable to someone in a good suit. So, if you're looking to kind of get more of the story, go more in depth to the story of Christopher Gehartsreiter. I would definitely recommend checking out The Man in the Rockefeller Suit, The Astonishing Rise and Spectacular Fall of a Serial Impostor by Mark Seal, described as one of the longest cons in American history.
Feel like every time you talk about, well, I mean, every other time you talk about one of your books, I lose a little bit of faith in humanity. It's just in general. I just feel like, oh my gosh, we are sometimes so. But you're right that, you know, we all have times when we get tricked into things very easily.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for bringing your book, and thank you, Liz, for joining us today. As my book said, there are countless different meanings that could be applied to an object. Thinking about stuff in our houses, there are always things that we just somehow have a very, very special attachment to. There are things that we anthropomorphize, right? Things that we just feel like there's just something special about them. So, what is that object in your house, listeners, that you have special meanings to? And maybe you'll find one, and then maybe you'll find a book that has that same object in the title, just like us today. I don't know. Shell? Okay, what is your object again? Suit. Do you have any feelings about suit, Corinne?
I mean, I love looking at a very well kept suit. I think tailoring is very interesting. And like a tailor is in many ways like an artist. I do not understand sewing. I have tried and failed. And so it is kind of like a strange sort of alchemy, right? Like the right suit on the right person can accentuate or downplay certain things and absolutely like transform a person's entire aura, for lack of better words. So I don't own a suit myself because I hate buying clothing. But I am impressed with like the mastery and artistry of what a good suit can do. And I think it is a key to a lot of doors.
So I guess I mean, you kind of answered that question, but you would never collect suits just for like, just to collect them. Is that a thing that you would do?
I hate buying clothes so much. I hate it. I
Yeah.
hate it. I hate it. So no, I think I'm safe from like suit collecting. Liz, are you going to be, I mean, in many ways, I guess you have collected eggs lately.
I mean, not with any permanence in mind. It's not like I just have a house full of eggs. That would be kind of ridiculous. But maybe somebody does do it, and who am I to judge you, really? So, you do you.
What about those is it called pisanki? Is it like the Ukraine, like, I mean, those could be collected, like, or like what is the other one called, the more porcelain one? Start with
Are
an
you
F.
thinking about Fabergé eggs?
Maybe. I don't know.
The fancy ones.
The fancy eggs, right? Like those could be collected.
Oh, I would love to have a collection of Fabergé eggs. Don't get me wrong.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, that could be collected. So eggs, Liz, what's eggs? How does eggs rate in your food preferences?
Oh, in the food preferences, like not what I call the Fabergé eggs. Um, I like eggs. I like how you can prepare them in different ways. They're very versatile. They act as a binder in baking. A lot of protein.
I mean, you need to stop soon because you're grossing Korean now, I think. Just
Okay, wait. What more can I say about eggs? Uh,
Viscous,
yes. You could have
nasty.
them for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Super versatile if you're into that kind of thing. And if you're not, again, you do you.
This is sort of like hard-hitting podcasting that we're that we're here for.
and I have no feelings about shells. I mean, they're pretty, I guess. I would never collect them. I know people do, right? But shells is just, I don't know. They're there, I guess. Trying to think if there's any shell shape. No, there's nothing shell shaping that I care for either. Scallops are tasty. Does that look like apples? This is getting me thinking about food.
I think I need to cut you off. I think we need to just pull the plug
That's
on
what
this
happens
episode.
when you don't have a lot of preparation. It just random things just come out of you. I blame it on Liz because Liz is here and we're all just like food. Let's talk food.
You're the one that just said, I like scallops.
Well, Liz is talking about food, and I'm just like, I guess that's the thing I associate with shells. I guess scallops. I don't know. My favorite Pokemon is Oshawa, which has a Skelchop on his, which is a Skelchop, which looks like a shell-shaped thing that he wears on his tummy. And then one time he got really mad at it and he just like throw it away and then he just quickly went in and then he's like, oh, shouldn't have thrown you away. Sorry. Anyway, okay. All right. So this is let's cut this off because this is getting weird. Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for very random Keep It Fictional. We got books, we got food, we got kitchen appliances, we got, I don't know, stationery, right? Stay tuned next week for a stationery extra podcast portion. Maybe that's what we need to do. We'll start our podcast reviewing a stationery. Maybe.
Yeah, pen of the week. We could talk about a pen of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like Liz could show us one of her many, many washi tapes. Yeah.
Yeah, could do that for a number of weeks.
Yeah, well, I can imagine. Like, it would just be like every
Yeah.
week we'll just each bring a thing. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Okay. Well, happy reading in the meantime. And we'll see you again next week. Bye bye.